Daniela at California Carnivores, and today's gonna be a good day because it's Bog Kit day. I love a Bog Kit, and I love these because I actually grow most of my temperate carnivorous plants at home in these mixed container plantings, and that's really what a Bog Kit is when we refer to our make your own Bog Kit. It's a collection of temperate plants that have the same care, the same soil mixture, the same water, everything. They like the same temperature range and sun, and you can put them together in a mixed planting and put it out in your backyard or on your patio, and it's a really nice showpiece. So I love these because you get to be creative and fun, and you really get to highlight some of the variety of carnivorous plants, because people are often really shocked about the amount of species of carnivorous plants and then the amount of forms of those species. So you can see here, this is just our Venus Flytrap kit, and you can see these ones have these totally different teeth on them. These are the Dentate Fly Traps, and compared to these long eyelashes here, these ones are dark red. There's so much variety just in fly traps alone, and then when you start adding in Sarracenia and sundews to that, you can really play with color and form and texture to create a stunning showpiece that a lot of people are going to comment on when they come over and see your garden. At least that's what happens in my garden every time. I could have the prettiest garden beds, they don't care, everybody wants to look at my bogs. So today I'm going to go through our make your own Bog Kit, and we actually have 3 different kits available on our website. We have this one here, which is our mini Bog Kit, which is a really cute little one that comes with 3 plants, and you can see it's a Serosenia, it's a fly trap, and a sundew, so it gives you a nice mix. We also have our newest one, which is just a big old pot of fly traps because everybody loves them. These guys are going to fill this whole thing up. It's going to be amazing in a few years. This is my personal favorite. It's a baby of mine. I love it. And today we're going to do the make your own Bog Kit, which is 6 plants, and I've got some here, and I'm just going to show you how we pot that up, what comes in the kit. I'll explain why we send what we send, because that'll help you grow them better. And you can use all of these tips and tricks for making your own. So if you look at the kit and you're like, I like that, but I kind of want to do something different, or I want to add to it, you can easily use these techniques to select plants from our website that are totally not in the kit and make your own kit out of your own bog container that you find. And I would recommend glazed ceramic or a plastic pot if you're going to do that at home. Avoid terracotta. And you can also add to this kit. So you can order this kit and then go on our website and say, I need more fly traps or sundews. And so again, these techniques will work across for all of those. So I got a little selection here so you can see kind of the fun options you can add. The Cape Sundew is a really great fun one, and there's a bunch of different fly traps just to show you more colors and forms, and just a couple of different forms of the Sarracenia as well, so you can see they really vary a lot, and you can make your own aesthetic choices to make this your own kit, or again, make your own one. All right, so let's talk about the make your own Bog Kit. What does that come with? So I already talked about the plants. It comes with, oh, I think we have a guest. That's Peter. Hi, Peter. Say hi to everybody.
I remember you.
Can you say hi?
Hello. I remember all of you too.
All right, well that was like a fun little surprise from Peter. We have forced him to go work now, so he will not be interrupting again. We're gonna make him go make plants. So let's get back to our Bog Kit. So what comes in this kit? The kit comes with everything you need. It comes with this great, let's start from the bottom. It comes with this amazing saucer. We love this saucer because it holds a ton of water, and these plants are bog plants, and I told you these plants need a lot of water. They want to always be sitting in water. You can fill this tray up with water, this saucer up with water all the time. But remember, the very important rule with carnivorous plants is to use distilled water, rainwater, or reverse osmosis water, because they do not want water with minerals and salts. And I hear a lot of the times, what if I leave my water out overnight? Will that help? That won't actually help, because it's really the minerals and salts that are the problems, not the chlorine. If you think that maybe your tap water is safe to use, I recommend getting a TDS meter, which is a total dissolved solids meter. You can get them on Amazon, and test your water and see what it comes out at. And if you get our book, The Savage Garden, we talk a lot about water and TDS and what's safe for use on plants, so you can kind of check that information out there. So a really good deep saucer that you can keep filled with water, and our favorite pot of all time for bogs because of this drainage. So you can see there's like a million holes, and they're really good size, and that's important because these plants are thirsty. They grow in bogs, and they need to have that soil maintain its moisture. So these holes really allow the soil to really wick up all of that water consistently. But with all those holes, you need to be able to cover them with something, and that's what this moss is for. get this moss wet before you work with it, or else it's going to be very like floofy and like send little bits of like moss dust into the air, and it's just gross. But you want to cover the bottom of your pot, and you want to cover these drainage holes, or else all the soil will eventually just run out the bottom over time. It takes a long time, but it's irritating nonetheless. And that's just a good tip in general when you are working with any plants and any pots that have drainage holes. You want to cover them with something. And then we send you our custom mix of soil for these plants. So these temperate plants all really like a mix of 4 parts fertilizer-free peat moss to 1 part perlite, and that's what we send you in these bags. And we send you a lot of soil because you will find when working with this, it compacts a lot. And you really want it to be very well pushed into this because it will over time sink. So my tip to you is you want to get this wet when you work with it. You're going to want to dump those bags into like a really big bucket, pour in some distilled water, and work with it to get it nice and wet. And you don't want it to be like soupy, but you really want it to be pretty wet. And you can see like this, when I squeeze it, a lot of water comes out still, right? But it forms a nice ball. And when I push on this, you can see it's actually really firmly in there, right? And that's really important because over time, like I said, it'll settle. My recommendation is to fill your pot all the way to the top because you'll be shocked. Give it a couple months, it will still settle. That's the nature of peat moss. All right, you're probably gonna want like a rag or like a bowl of water. If you put your hands in a bowl of water, all of the peat moss will come off of it pretty easily. Makes it a lot easier to work with, and especially when you're touching the sundews, that'll be important. We'll talk about that in a minute. So let's talk about the plants. We have always tried to send plants that come either potted or from plug trays, and that's really important because that way the plant's roots are still covered in soil or protected with sphagnum moss, and it really reduces the shock because there's a lot of shock for plants. Like if you were put in a box and shipped across the country and then planted up into some soil, you would be shocked too. And if you actually leave the soil on, it really helps reduce that, and we want you to have the best experience with this kit because it's kind of important. We love it. And also a lot of people, this is a great plant kit to do if you're new to carnivorous plants. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways to work with that. And also when it comes to our kits, I'm going to let you know that sometimes you're going to get a potted plant. Other times you're going to get something like this, which is a plug tray plant. And as you can see, this plant is so big and healthy, and it's totally wrapped carefully and neatly packaged in this nice little soil plug. That's why it's a plug. So we're going to talk about how you work with both of these. Now, if you're really new to plants or carnivorous plants, or you're just kind of freaked out to work with them, you don't actually need to bare root these. So bare rooting means you would take it out of the pot and take all of the soil off and then rinse it off and then put it in the soil. You can actually, if you flip this over, squeeze the sides of the pot and see how well this works. I think it has stage fright. Let's see. Ah, perfect. Just do that. And instead of taking all the soil off, you can leave it on for this guy, and you can just dig yourself a nice deep hole for it. If I was smart, I would take off my rings, but I never do. And you can just put it in, soil and all, press it down, and that's really, really going to reduce the shock on that plant. That plant is going to be so happy. So if you don't want to bare root them, totally fine. That's the way to do it. So now let's go and I'll show you what to do with these plug tray plants. A lot of these have a little paper wrapper. It's like taking off their little pajamas. Take that off. And you can see the roots have grown through it. So I'm trying not to, a few roots did come off, but try to be really gentle. And with fly traps, you're probably going to trigger a few of the traps to close. That's okay. Do your best not to. And then I actually like to use my thumb and dig a nice hole. The great thing about these plants too is you know exactly how deep to bury them, right? Because you already have the soil line. You do not want to bury this. This is a new leaf coming out. You do not want all of these leaves under the soil. You really want to bury it right to that line. And so I'll try to just shove him in as gently as I can. And then I'm going to lift up his little traps. Oh, squished him a little bit. He'll be okay. I'm just going to tuck him in all the way around. Now, if this was Damon, he could probably do this without even triggering a trap, which is deeply irritating, but he can totally do it. Now, You can keep putting in your plants however you want. I would recommend putting the taller plants to the back because over time they're gonna fill out and they will shade the plants that are around them. And you kind of want all the other plants to get a lot of sun, right? So I'm gonna put my Serosenia. This is one of my favorites. This is Judith Hindle. This is a perfect Sarracenia. Everyone should have this. We try to send these in all of our collections because it's like really close to my heart and Damon's heart. When we have them, we send them. But if not, sometimes we have them on our website for sale too. This is one I would add if it's not available. And again, I'm just gonna dig my thumb out. This one I don't have to take, there's no paper on this one. It's just in a nice little sphagnum plug. I'm just gonna tuck her in. She's easier to work with because there's no rosette of traps, right? So there's Judy right there. This is Scarlett Bell. This is another really fun plant because it will start to put out so many pictures and it actually kind of holds those pictures through winter dormancy a little bit better than other plants. So it's nice contrast. I love this plant too. So we're gonna just dig another hole, tuck her in. There you go, now Judy and Scarlett can talk next to each other. All right, and you see I'm kind of wiping my hands off in between. That's because I'm trying to reduce the spread of like the peat moss onto everything, onto me and onto the sundews, because we're gonna get there in a second. The sundews, when you touch them with like your peat mossy hands, that peat moss will stay on your beautiful sticky sundew leaf for like the rest of time and it'll drive you crazy. So try not to do it because it'll just make you a little nuts. So here is a Dentate Fly Trap. You can see it's actually got a million little babies. So on this one, I am actually gonna bare root it for you, just so you can kind of see. First of all, look how easily that just came apart. If you wanna be adventurous, you can actually, if we send you a clumpy one like this, take it apart. And this is also fun because now you can see, let's get some more of this dirt off, the actual fly trap, the rhizome and the roots. With all of these plants, you want to try not to break any of the roots off. They don't generally have huge root systems at this stage, so you really want to preserve any you can. And you can kind of see the line of where you want to keep this in the soil. And it's just fun to see. But if you want, you can break this all apart, and then you can have scattered all around a bunch of little beautiful ones. And you can actually see in this one, that's what I did on this fly trap bog. So these were just little ones that I broke off from the main one and they just came out in my hand. And I was able to kind of spread my fly traps around more that way. And that's kind of fun because it really fills the bog out even more. And I'll do that with a couple of these in the front so you can kind of see. When you're working with the little ones, they're very delicate, they're tiny, they're tender, so be gentle. So you can see, just gonna tuck them in. All right, so now we're gonna work on the last thing, which is the hardest one. It's this rosetted sundew that we love, Tokaiensis, or sorry, yes, Tokaiensis. This is the one that I'm gonna do my best to not get any soil on the top of, but we'll see. Oh, look, a little baby came off. Oh my goodness, this guy is very prolific. So I'll probably just pull those to the side. That's kind of fun too. All right, so we're gonna try and tuck him in as best I can. I'm gonna wipe my hands off already. I'm already gonna get, I can already tell I've committed a sun don't and I'm gonna get peat moss on this. All right, and then I've got this little baby guy, which is so cute. So maybe we'll put him here. But look at that, actually, that's a big old long root on that actually. Make sure you get all of the root into the ground. You don't want it to be sticking out. He'll look better in a minute or two. So the other thing is you're gonna get tags with everything so you know what it is. And I'm gonna tell you right now, some of you are gonna think, I don't need to know. Keep those, because I guarantee you in a few months you're gonna email me and ask. So my trick for these, because I don't necessarily want the tags out either, is I just, along the back wall, whoops, sorry guys, tuck them in. And then I have them in this bog, and then I can go back and figure out what everything is. You can also put them all around with each plant if you like how that looks, but that's just my little trick. So here is our bog, and then when I'm done, I'm going to get my watering can and I'm going to sprinkle it from overhead with water. That's another really good just generalized planty trick. Every time you plant something in, whether it's carnivorous or just a regular plant, you really need to water it in because that reduces the air pockets in the soil and helps the roots get better contact with the soil, and also they want a nice cool drink, like they've been through something. So this is our beautiful Bog Kit. And what I want to see is when you guys get these and you make them, I want to see you make them your own, because this is your own perfect little ecosystem and it should express your personality. So put fun things in it. I've seen so many cool things, dinosaurs and geodes and, you know, really beautiful branches, all sorts of cool stuff. Make it your own. You could cover it with little rocks on the top. You can add different plants to it. And that's really, really fun for me to see. So if you do get this kit and make it, please tag us on social media because it really makes my day to see them. It's really fun to see them come together. And I should also let you know that the plants really vary. I can't tell you what you're gonna get from month to month because we wanna send you the best things we have, the things that we love. So that's why sometimes you're gonna get plug tray plants, sometimes potted, a mix, and sometimes you're gonna get Judith Hindle when we have it. Other times you might get a beautiful Swaniana, who knows? But David and I just try to pick things that we would want that would make us really excited and happy. So let's talk care now, because I know that's going to be a big question. Because this is such a great kit for new growers. I just want to go over what you're going to do with it now that it's done. So water it really well, put it in a saucer, fill the saucer with water, and these are full sun plants in most areas outdoors. And when I say most areas, that's because places like Arizona, where it's like intensely hot and dry and there's never relief in the summer, that's a little bit too much sun for probably all of us, including these plants. So you're going to want to make sure you put them in morning sun there. Otherwise, we're in zone 9B, and our summers range from 70 all the way up into the low hundreds, and the plants are fine with that. And they're fine with it because usually we don't go into the high 90s or the hundreds for more than a few days, maybe a week, and we make sure they're always really well watered. So if you know it's going to be a really hot week, make sure you fill this water up every single day, and then they should be fine in full sun. The other thing you can do when you first put them out, because you just got these plants, they just shipped from our nursery in this dark box, you just planted them up, they're like, what is happening? They might acclimate better if you go a little slow. So if you want to treat them with like total TLC, you can put them out into full morning sun for a few weeks and slowly transition them to the full sun, and they'll like that too. But if you want to stick them right out in full sun, they'll be fine. And you'll probably notice some of these leaves are going to turn brown or black and die back. Totally normal. So carnivorous plants actually have pretty high leaf turnover, especially compared to like a house plant, which barely loses leaves. These guys sometimes freak people out, but you gotta think that they're doing a job. They're working, they're eating, that's a lot of work. So they're gonna die back and grow new leaves at a pretty high rate. And actually, everything you're looking at in here is a leaf. So these pitchers, these traps, these sticky things, these are all leaves of these plants. And so it's totally normal for them to die back. You can see I left a couple on here, so you can see what that looks like. And I left a couple of the fly traps on that have turned black and died back as well. That's all totally normal. Don't worry if you see a little bit of that, especially when you first put them outside. And this is a new leaf growing, and that's how I know this is a happy plant. It's growing new leaves. And usually once you put them outside, it takes them a few weeks, and as they get used to it, lots of new leaves will start growing, and it'll be really great. And you could just cut off the dead leaves if they bother you. It's really easy. Don't try to pull them off because you might accidentally pull the whole thing out of the soil, and I speak from experience. Definitely snip them off. These plants will do super well in most environments sitting in water all the time. I would recommend that for everywhere unless you're in like crazy summer humidity. So if you're in like an Alabama summer, you might want to let them dry out just a little bit between watering. But other than that, you really can't overwater them. They want a lot of water. That's a good thing for them. And then when it comes to winter, that's a whole nother ballgame. All of these plants do require a chilly winter dormancy, and they're cold hardy down to 15, 20 degrees Fahrenheit for brief periods. But you should check out my video all about temperate dormancy because it's kind of an involved subject, and I give you all the options there, so go check that out. And yeah, that's about it with these guys. They are just really wonderful outdoor plants, full sun, lots of water, and they'll be really, really happy. And I hope you love them as much as I do. And remember to please tag us in the photos because they make me so happy. All right, happy growing.